He knows to come off my legs, so I thought I'd try him in Spurs today. So you can get to see his first ride in Spurs and how he reacts to that. I actually like Spurs sometimes more than kicking because it's more articulate. Because kicking, you tend to just thump on them, and some horses will get, they'll get perturbed by that banging on their side. Whereas the spur, like as I carefully angle my heel up, I can just apply precisely more pressure or less pressure as I see fit. Give you an idea of Spurs, like I can rub it on my face, like it's not sharp, they're dull. The rowel is wide, it's wide this way. And it's just because it's a new sensation physically. So usually before I hop on, I'll just run it over their side, just like that. And again, they're not electric and they're not razor blades, so it's just a wheel that runs across him, like there's no big deal to it. But occasionally you will get a horse who, because the sensation is different, they'll kind of get, oh my goodness, that's very different, and they'll get worried about it. And the other thing that'll upset some horses is not so much that you got a spur on and a spur is aggressive or tough, is just they can't cheat. Like you put a leg on and they know they should move off it, but they're still choosing when they want to do it rather than just doing it every time. And he's a little bit in that category. Like he'll move off my leg and my rein really well sometimes. And then other times he's a little bit like, oh, I'm just not feeling it, Wayne. It's like, well, you kind of need to feel it all the time and pay attention. So he selectively pays attention to it at times, which, a lot of horses do. And that's usually when we go and put spurs on. Usually one of the first things I'll do, which I kind of do with him every day anyway, is side pass. But we're at a standstill and I get to press and roll that spur into him a little, and he gets to feel it, and I get to judge his reaction to it. And again, we're not using spurs to help us make him go forward. It's more about getting him to steer and listen to my leg all the time. And sometimes it'll be good because it'll take the focus, his mental focus, off what the bozel's doing or the halter or the bridle or whatever I've got, and put his mental focus back on my leg and his side and what I'm asking him to do. And ultimately, of course, I do want to steer him with my legs and my reins and, my neck rein to assist, or my supporting rein to assist the steering. And I've had some horses that were very touch sensitive. They were kind of flighty and hot and all that kind of stuff. And their first ride in Spurs, they went way better than you'd think, because what I was asking and the result was very clear, because like I was saying earlier, I can be a lot more articulate with a spur. Like I can apply, gradually apply more pressure and release pressure a lot more precisely with a spur than I can with kicking. But obviously I can ride quite well, and I've got good use of my legs and feet, and I know what my spurs are doing. A little inadvertent contact shouldn't bother my horse. So if I happen to touch him with them, he shouldn't freak out. The same as he shouldn't with leg. Like I said, he'll sort of hit a point where he's like, I'm not liking the fact that I can't cheat and ignore it. We're kind of upping the mental pressure on what we're doing. Up until now, he's kind of been able to do a lot of things in his time and at his convenience, which is a good thing, that they go through that stage. But obviously he's got to get to a point where he's got to just do it straight away when he's told, and a little less arguing. So we're doing that direct bend and counter bend that we've done in earlier videos. And I'm still not after precision. So we'll do some other videos on what I'd like in a precise direct bend and counter bend and all that kind of deal. At his stage, if he just bends to the left and moves his shoulder out a little, and then on this counter bend, he moves his nose to the outside and his shoulder to the inside a little, that's all I need. But that was kind of a point just there when I was counter bending. Sometimes when he doesn't feel like doing it, or he's a little resistant, he pushes onto the bosal and just goes forward. Now because I can just tip my heel up and go, think about that, he's not pushing into that as much. So when he questions it, he was just running, he was going through the front door. And I just kind of took that focus back on my foot and his side, like step over off that leg pressure. Don't go forward, step off that leg pressure. I'm still not going to micromanage him too much. Like I said, this one we want a little direct bend to the inside and a counter bend. And yeah, when he gets a little pushy, I kind of poke him in the belly and it puts his focus back where it should be. Like, listen to my leg. My leg's telling you where to go. Don't be so concerned about your face. But when to put spurs on does vary from horse to horse. Like I've had some horses that were very dull. Excuse me. And the very first lot of lateral movements I did, I went to spurs almost straight away. You know, like very quick. But there's not many of those horses. Most of them is his time frame. You've been riding a bit and they've got a good understanding. And I like them to know what they're supposed to do before I reinforce it, basically, with something, you know, more tougher than just my foot. So we'll just do some little turns on the hind quarter. Get him stepping across. And again, I don't really expect anything too precise. Just want him to have a go. And another thing that's important, like when he doesn't want to go forward, I'm not going to be spurring him to go forward. I'll take that lead rope and swat him on the butt the same as I have been. Now sometimes the spurs, because we do ask with our legs for him to go forward, the spurs will give you more forward. But if your horse really doesn't want to go and you keep spurring him, there's a lot more chance they're going to buck or rear or get very upset by it. The spurs are really only to help your steering, not to give you extra speed. And the reason that, because a lot of people say, well, I get extra speed out of my horse. The reason you get extra speed is your horse still gets conditioned that there's leg pressure, they go forward, the leg pressure comes off. So leg pressure means go, right? Whereas people who've got educated horses, leg pressure means turn, bend, elevate. You know, it means a lot of things besides go forward. So real quickly, touching on transitions, there's a verbal request. In my case, it's clocking. You could say jog on and my legs back it up. It's just like a stop. When I stop, I just sit down and say, whoa. I don't pull on his face straight away. I'm gonna ask him verbally or non, you know, without any pressure. And then if he doesn't listen, then I might pull on his head. And if I ask him to go forward and he chooses not to go forward, eventually I'll use my leg to back that up. There we go. So he kind of waited for me to squeeze just a little bit, but it was only a little. So it was really cool. And because he's not a real touch sensitive, you know, funky horse that way, and he knows what my leg means, we haven't had a lot of reaction to the spur because it's just kind of like, oh, Okay, I've got to step it up a little bit. And it hasn't really bothered him too much. Oh. And although I kind of say on and off he's a little lazy, he is, but he is still quite happy to go to work. Like he doesn't argue about it that much. He's not super lazy. So we'll steer, shape up a little, steer a little, shape up a little. Like an older horse, when I start to bend him and he's a little heavy, I can start using my spur to help pick his belly up, pick his ribs up, and give me that a little easier. So through being able to work his belly more, I can be softer again on his face. So to sort of bend him in, shape him up, and give him a little bit of free time. Do the same again. I don't really want to hold him in there too long, especially on this side, because I need to work on getting him to flex, like lateral flexion to the left. So it's inside rein, and then a little bit of both reins. Oh. Which is the traditional way you should use a bosal or a hackamore or even a snaffle bit. Is traditionally there's a little bit of hold and get that inside flexion, and then your outside rein asks them to drop. And I think with a bosal it's more important just because it works a little different. So get that inside flexion and then ask for vertical flexion. And sort of do it in that order, especially on that side where they might be a little bit heavy like this guy is. And I'm just going to do a little bit of random steering and shaping up, more as it kind of comes to him too. I don't need him to do any predetermined pattern. More than anything, I just want him to travel nice and be happy and, you know, incorporate some more advanced techniques as his career goes on. Whoa. G'day, thank you so much for watching. If you could like, share, subscribe, turn on the notifications bell, that would be awesome. Thank you. Cheers. Like sometimes people will fight, well, I need him to make a square or a rectangle, and they'll fight him over it. And at this stage, there's no real need. Like I'd encourage him to go here, and he might drift in a little bit. I'll just go with it and make him soft, and I just want him to travel nice. But to give you an idea of my higher standards, like I have trained an open national champion in reining in our country. So you can't win an open reining without having very precise control of your horse and all their body parts. Like I ultimately want to control everything at speed and going slow, you know, so my standards are pretty high, but I'm not trying to do it all at once. And going at the horse's pace is such an important thing. And it's funny when you do videos like this, there'll be a bunch of people going, oh, you went way too fast, and a bunch of other people going, you went way too slow. It's kind of how I see it, how this horse sees it. There's a lot of other horses that I wouldn't be this advanced on at this point. You know, I would have had to take way longer and do way more groundwork. There's not many I would have gone much faster though, because I just don't like to, when in doubt, I usually go slower. But in the end, you know, you end up with that horse who's super confident that you've always got his best interests at heart, and he'll start to trust you and do things for you that other horses won't. Because ultimately I want to create a really high standard horse who's happy to do his job. Not a really high standard horse who's scared to do the wrong thing. I want to create a happy horse who loves his job, who wants to go to work, and he loves doing what I'm doing. And I've put him to it in such a way he gets really advanced, and he's still happy to do it. He's not scared of not doing it. Because that horse will do the job, but he won't be happy doing the job. That horse can be real competitive too. He's still not happy doing his job. Whoa. And he's also given some nice little examples when we're stopping of all I really want him to do is stay soft up front. I don't pull on him, I'm just trying to frame him up. And then they'll start using their hindquarter if they have any desire to do it. Hey everyone, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I'd just like to highlight some ways that you can support the channel a little bit more that are completely free. Like the video, subscribe, please leave a comment whether you like it or you don't like it. Either comment's welcome. And that just supports the YouTube algorithm and helps the channel grow, which enables me to make more videos, more contact, and help more people. If you do want to take it a step further, you can join on patreon.com, and that's $5 a month, which is, as we know, less than a cup of coffee nowadays. Thank you very much again, and keep watching. Cheers. Bye.